So, this is gonna be a week. I have, okay, it's 8 a.m. I don't know, 12 hours at this 17,000 word outline down to 10. We need tea. This cannot happen without tea.
Hi there, I'm Nicole Wilbur, and you're about to see a no makeup video because I was so stressed the entire time I was filming this that we just looked like a disaster the entire time. This video is going to show you the end of my process for getting ready for an outline critique. So I wrote a book back last year and now I redid the outline for it because I want to do the edit. So it's the outline for the second draft, and I decided to hire a freelance editor to go over the outline for me because the book is multi-POV and I've never written a book with this many POVs before. It has all these different storylines and I really wanted another pair of eyes on the story itself before I go and do that second draft. It's a YA Christmassy romance book, very fun. And in this video, we're gonna get into basically how writing the outline worked, how I was getting ready in the last couple of days for the submission. So let's get into this absolute chaos.
For some reason, I thought I was making really good progress on my outline. Like 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm almost done, no issues, like we're almost there. And it's due in about a week, and there's still like 20 scenes that are colored red. How did I think I was done? I've been working on it this whole time, but I'm like, wow, this is more work than I anticipated. It's always more work than you anticipated. But we gotta finish it. We gotta finish the outline. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, my story is divided into 6 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are done. Saturday is mostly done. So we just have to do Thursday, Friday, which is about, 20 scenes. And then we'll be just do the outline for 20 scenes. And then I have to go through and edit it because it can only be 10,000 words, and I'm definitely there right now. So I have to export it from Campfire and then like edit the doc. And then I also have to do all of the supplementary material that I'm allowed to give over. So this is gonna be a week. So I've been working on Thursday. Now, as I said, this story covers six days. And so Wednesday, Thursday is technically the midpoint of the story. So I actually have finished Thursday. I finished Thursday yesterday. It is now January 30th, which means I have today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's due on Monday. Ooh, and I still need to, like, I'm just doing, this is like a run through of fleshing them out, and I have to go through and like double check everything and edit and make it 10,000 words because I think it's more, I've never written an outline this long in my life and I'm really enjoying it. I'm like, oh, I can see how this would be so helpful for editing, for coming up with a story. Like, I always have an outline, but it's usually I get to the middle and I'm like, I don't know what this scene's supposed to do, blah, 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 blah. And so it's kind of fun to be like, and in this scene, we need to see this emotional progression. And in this scene, we need to have a hint about something else. And I think that I'm appreciating a more detailed outline now because I've done so many drafts of a different book. When you're writing like the 10th draft and you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I like seeding here? And is there foreshadowing there? And is the correct progression of this relationship happening in these 3 spots? It's kind of nice to have some of that from the start because I've never had an outline where I've had that before, like the hint at X, and that's turning out to be super duper useful for me. So we are now on to Friday. There's a couple of scenes in the earlier days that I haven't filled in because I'm not really sure what they need to do, I guess. So I'm just gonna leave those, but we go on to Friday, and Friday is tech rehearsal, and this is where things need to fully fall apart and be on the way to being fixed Friday night. Well, here's the thing. I'm also worried about the distribution of this because as I said, my last midpoint, I don't even know if it's a midpoint. Maybe it's an all is lost, because like it's looking a little back heavy. Like we basically need to have, we had the midpoint happening Wednesday, Thursday. We have a little bit of bad guys close in going on. But then like kind of our all is lost has to happen on Friday, and so does the like recovery from the all is lost, you know what I mean? The dark night of the soul and the break into 3, or like the revelation and new decision. So that's looking a little off balance percentage wise to me. But then again, I am not doing it really looking at it macro, I'm looking at it micro, and that makes sense maybe. I don't know. The good thing about this is it is going to an outline critique, like that's the point of this. So I assume if it feels back end heavy, I will try to fix it myself. But also I'm getting another person's opinion on it, which is always ideal. So our first scene on Friday is, what notes do I have here? Charlotte, firmly in obsessive drive now, she is freaking out, and that is the only note I have for this first scene. So I guess that's where we start. See you in a bit. I knew it was going to be long. I knew it was long. I knew it was going to be a little bit over, and I expected to have to do some editing. But like, I have, okay, it's 8 a.m. I don't know, 12 hours. I also have to work today to get this 17,000 word outline down to 10. Also, there's 60 scenes. That seems reasonable. 60 is okay. My like most recent is about 50. That comes in at 85,000 words. I write short scenes, so that's good. But it is insane when you export things from Campfire and all of a sudden you're just like, well, what do I do? Because that is too many words. That is too many words for an outline. Now, of course, I'm not deleting things from like my outline, and I kind of know why it's so long. Because I already wrote this book. Sorry, I'm just finding somewhere to put this. I already wrote this book. I have a first draft of it done. And so I was like writing an outline for me where I'm snipping in bits and pieces of like the actual text. So I can like remember the bits of scenes that I like and include them. So like all of those parts that's actual like text from the book, I'm just gonna cut out because it's an outline critique, not a manuscript critique, so I'm not like cheating to get manuscript stuff in there. Also, I only have 10,000 words. Yeah. Also, Campfire exports very weirdly in that like it doesn't do it in order. I wish I could show you. So I have like them in the scene cards in order here. So we have like a row, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I have all of my scenes in a row, but I don't think it has a way that like saves the position of the cards for exporting. So like it is exporting them in the order 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. That one's not too bad. And then I have a 9, 15, 11, 16, 17, 10, 12, 13, 14, 18. That's the order of the next day. Which like, what? Like, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of copying and pasting here. Also, there's a lot of headings that are just like unnecessary. So between like the description of the scene, it has overview, structure, like I don't need that. So I'm gonna go through and just like delete that. So that's 2 words I'm completing everywhere. What does moments mean? Oh, that's for me. Okay, I can delete that. God, this is gonna take forever. Twister reveal, so I don't always have a twister reveal in a scene. So that can go. Overview structure, that can go. This is just this is just going to be a lot of tedious work. Now I did leave it in 16,975. Look at that, 2 seconds and we're already down a few words. I did leave this somewhat to the last second because I'm in Namibia and like I knew it would be a little bit of a stretch to have this done. The actual outline is done and I had that finished. I have what else did I do? I created a list of characters. So I watched Meredith Phillips' video when she got an outline critique. I'll link that below. And she did like a list of characters for reference, easy reference. So I did that. I also did a list of POV characters and the plot lines that they're following. Okay, so this is a multi-POV book. I have 5 POVs. And all of the characters have their own storylines that intertwine a lot. Like they're like this, but they do have their own stories. And I found that like a few of them are like straight up romances. And then a few of them are love stories, but like not romances because they don't have a happy ending. Spoiler. And then one of them is more of a performance story. So I found that, here, let me just show you, that for some of them, like if I tried to use Save the Cat just wasn't working for one of the storylines or for some of the storylines. So I found that, oh, I didn't save it in the right place. That's never good. File. Okay. It's called POV Plot Cheat Sheet. And so for my main character, I have Charlotte. She is Save the Cat. For Mia, the structure I'm following is Save the Cat and Romancing the Beat. For Sophie, it's Anatomy of Story. For Lewis, it's Save the Cat and Romancing the Beat. For Julian, it's Save the Cat. So for Sophie, I really couldn't make it work for Save the Cat. Like she doesn't have that journey. She doesn't have that journey. It just wasn't working for me. And so there's nothing, I was like, sure, like if it doesn't feel like it's organic, why don't I just do Anatomy of Story? Because Anatomy of Story, like that kind of hitting those structure steps, those 7 structure steps, that works perfect. Like that fits in really well. It feels organic. So I have broken it up. So like not all of my POVs I'm looking at the same plot structure, which is dumb, but like it's also, I also feel fine about it because it's kind of like I had the story I wanted to tell and I'm like, which of these structures fits it and feels organic to make sure I'm not missing anything. I did the second versus being like, let's be unique and creative and make one Save the Cat and one Anatomy of Story and one Romancing the Beat. Like that's not what I did. That's just kind of how it ended up and how I'm applying this structure already having written it. So I'm hoping that means it's just like organic and fine and fun. Who knows? We don't know. But yeah, so I have this document that I completed, which is like all of the POVs, and then I have their plot structure, and then I also have a sentence like, let me find one that's easy. When a hard-shelled class clown joins the Nutcracker to go after the girl he likes, he realizes he must find his vulnerability and authenticity to nail the role and experience a true connection with the girl. Like a little kind of like plot statement. None of them are perfect. They're all a little, but they're just for background. Like they're to help the editor like find her way through this outline and to orient herself better. I also ideally want to give more detailed character descriptions and a description of the production, but I don't want to go overboard with all this supplemental material. So I have to like also export that from Notion and all this exporting. Like I love these programs and I've never spoken about Campfire. I actually tried it for the first time for this outline and I really, really like it. I do not like exporting from it. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, so I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to have to reorder everything so it's in the right scenes, delete all my little snippets of like the book, and delete any unnecessary words and see where we're at. If this can get rid of 6,975 words just by getting rid of a, overview, structure, like subtitles and unused plot structure beats and little bits of the story, that's great. I'm not convinced that's gonna be enough, but we shall see. I will check back with you later. Also, I did something really stupid and scheduled a facial for 7 p.m. It's now 5 p.m. I'm in Namibia, so when I said 8 a.m., it was 8 a.m. EST, but 3 p.m. Namibian time. I also have to start working at some point. So like, I don't know how this is gonna, it's just gonna have to happen somehow. I don't know, we'll see. We need tea. This cannot happen without tea. All right, it is 7:44 p.m., which is approximately 12:44 p.m. Eastern. And I just got to 10,089 words in the outline, which I am happy with because there's probably about 600 words like that are just like the scene dash the character name, desire, conflict, like just the category versus the actual like number of words of content, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's still a lot of pages. My book was 277 pages and the outline was 100, more than that before I started editing. It's less than that now. So yeah, so now I have the outline done, I have the character list done, I have the POV list done. There were 2 other kind of documents I wanted to do that are all written up. I just have to make them nice. A little bit more in-depth on the characters, and it's a little bit more in-depth on the Nutcracker and the competition and the setting. So, yippee, here we go. I have to stop. I stopped for a little bit there just to do some work. Obviously, I'm going to be continuing to do work and staying up really late to get work done, but this also has to get done. So here we go.
Okay, so the last few hours there, I was literally just going through and checking things and making sure everything was good to send. And then at 9:25 p.m. where I was and 2:25 p.m. Eastern, I sent the outline over. And I'm gonna read you the video because it kind of explains, or the email. I'm gonna read you the video. I'm gonna read you the email that I sent because it kind of explains all of the documents that I had, and then I'll also open them up as well. Okay, so for each scene, I've used a modified version of the anatomy of story scene structure and highlighted the target beats for each scene. It's right at the 10K limit, to my surprise, as we all know. Let's go over. So here are the materials I also attached. So I attached a character list, an identifying list of all the characters. So that's in here. It's literally just, again, a list. And I've separated them into POV characters and secondary characters, and it's basically just for reference. Anybody who's mentioned, most people who are mentioned, I might have forgotten 1 or 2, are here. And then the POV characters, and everybody's just identified by their role in the Nutcracker, their grade, and then sort of little points, anything that's about them that's like very kind of identifying, just to help keep things clear. The next thing I added was a POV plot cheat sheet. And this is interesting, and I really want to talk about it more in another video, but there are 5 POV characters, and in each of them I included a 1-line description of each of their storylines, plus the plot structure that tracks each of their journeys. If I just kind of look at it from out here, we can maybe zoom in a little bit, because it's just the T's really. So Charlotte, for example, she is, her structure is Save the Cat, and here's the little blurb about her storyline. And then you have Mia, she's Save the Cat and Romancing the Beat, so I follow both structures for her. And then Sophie is the anatomy of story. I really couldn't get hers to fit into any other kind of, into any other plot structure there. The next thing I attached was character descriptions. So we have, okay, yeah, so character descriptions, I did it in Word, and I literally just have a table of contents, so you can skip around to them if you want to. And so for the POV characters, there's kind of a bit of like, I don't know, some like identifying characteristics, and then we have mostly like story genius stuff, like what does she think will make her happy, why does she want that, what's her misbelief. I use contradiction as in like what does she want versus what's the misbelief to really nail that, and then the story goal. And we keep doing that for all of the POV characters, and then the normal characters who are just kind of don't have a POV, I just have just some information on them, and it's usually the love interests that I'm including information on, because they, you know, that you need the information about the love interest. Okay, that's the character descriptions. And then I have a document that explains how the Nutcracker Cup works. So that is my competition that my characters are competing in. This was just helpful for me to write, honestly. I have no idea if it will be helpful for the editor at all. And I was like, you don't have to read these, obviously, they're just there if you get confused about something. So it's very comprehensive, like how it works, you know, why it's important, what the prize is, and then I explain there's a tiny bit of an element of like story within a story because she's telling a story of the Nutcracker. So I do explain like her version of the Nutcracker there. And then the last doc is the incident. So there is a bit of backstory that unites all of the characters together, and this is a timeline that shows the backstory up to the incident, which is, you know, the thing that kind of everybody has in common. And then I wrote a bit more on the outline. The outline is divided not into acts, but into 6 days over which the story takes place. I jot down the relevant structure steps for each scene, and I focused on the individual, like we saw, so Save the Cat, Anatomy of Story, Romancing the Beat for each character. And I have the global breakdown here. So Monday is approximately the setup, Tuesday, Wednesday is fun and games, Wednesday, Thursday is the midpoint, Thursday, Friday is bad guys close in, Friday is all is lost and Dark Night of the Soul, and Saturday is the finale. Roughly-ish. And then my very final little note here is that for my first 5 scenes, so the first scenes in each POV, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all different POVs, I had extra notes. And they're called connective tissue, char reveal, because there's backstory being revealed in each one, and gunfire and gun loaded. So connective tissue is just things I'm jotting down that I need to make sure are there to make it not feel like isolated stories, but make it feel like all one story. And then gunfired and gun loaded is in every single scene, I'm trying to set up a series of like dominoes, basically. So in the first scene, someone's gonna say something that when you get into the next scene, you immediately realize, oh, this is gonna be a problem, and it's a source of tension. And then you see that go off and you see something else get set up. Really, it took me a while to figure out the terminology for that. I had like gun triggered, gun loaded. I was like, I don't know anything about guns. I don't know why I'm using this, but I was inspired by Chekhov. So what can you do when you're inspired by Chekhov, really? And then of course, the funnest part about this is I sent an updated version the next morning at 1:36 a.m. Eastern, or 7 a.m. Or 8 a.m. where I was, because I had errors in my document. So I sent a new document that was corrected. Because of course I went to close it and I was like, oh, let me just like read it. And then I was like, oh, there's problems that really affected the readability. Like I had the headings were messed up and it just got confusing. So I went in and I fixed those. The outline though, let me just show you a little bit of what the outline looks like. A little peek here. So I have it set up like this. So for every character, so we have the day of the week up here. For every character we have scene-name. I have a little bit of kind of a description, so you can see like a description there, a little bit of a description here. And then we go through my things for the opening. So the char reveal, which is like the backstory, and loading the gun. In the next scene, you can see that I have connective tissue, char reveal, gun fired, and gun loaded. So the first one was fired, the second one is loaded and ready to go. And then this gets into the anatomy of story scene cards. So we have the desire, opponent, plan, conflict. Crisis is what I add in. Crisis and decision is what I add in. That's more of a story type thing of just like I want characters to be making decisions in every scene, and then the end point. And that's about it. So that was my experience getting ready for this outline critique. I'm very excited to get it back. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I'm eager for the feedback. It was a crazy time, as you saw, but altogether, even though I had to cut the outline down for her from 17K to 10,000, I still have the 17,000 word outline that I'm going to be working with, that has all of like my little notes and like snippets and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time.